it's really, really hard to get immediate results, if not impossible, in lead generation in our industry for what you're looking for. And I think I've done a lot of just windshield time thoughts of why that is. And my humble assessment is that uh, we don't deliver a widget. We deliver a pretty complex product.
Hey, Drew, glad to have you with me today.
Hey, Spencer, thanks for having me on. I appreciate the invite and excited to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise. And before we kind of get into the meat of things, I think it's always helpful maybe just share with our listeners a little bit about your business and maybe even, go back, throw us back to how you started everything.
You bet. Um, yeah, so we are a custom home builder, remodeler in Houston, Texas, and we got started back in as Southern Green Builders back in 2009. Um,
Good time to
myself,
start.
yeah, it was a perfect time to start a home building business. But in our Houston's economy at the time, we had just come off of, or in the middle of fixing a lot of hurricane damaged homes from Hurricane Ike. So there was a lot of opportunity there, and we took a leap, took a risk, and decided doing small jobs, fixing fences, fixing repair drywall patches, just odds and ends from that storm damage. And from there, we did some kitchen and bath through the network of people we met, and had an opportunity in the historic Houston Heights area to do a small renovation addition for an investor client, and there's a little 200 square foot add-on and a facelift to it, and they sold it and did well. We did two more with them, and then we did four more with them, and then we began investing and did five or six from there, and really moved into more of our custom building through clients in that network. And a decade or so later, here we are. Um, what we're trying to do as a company is we're actually trying to change the perception of home building, where we're moving away from that historical architect draw, builder bid against three other builders, and the low price or the most deemed qualified wins. And we're trying to shift that paradigm to be, let's join the construction and design team up front, where the architect, the builder, engineer, interior designer, the whole design team is assembled up front, and everybody has a role and responsibility, and we're all working on for the owner's behalf. And we've had a lot of recent success here in the last year in that model, and really our clients are winning, and that's the most important thing. They're sharing a very enjoyable building experience. They are realizing less change orders. We are having better production time, and that's our goal as a company, and the focus as a company today is really to change that shift that paradigm from what construction is slash was to a better way of building.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm kind of curious to get your perspective on that too. Do you find that that perception is mostly within the end consumer, the home owner, the person that wants to build their home, or is it also with like the architects? Like they like that model of like we're just going to draw and then bid it out to the builders. Is it in both camps or mostly just one of them?
I think it's a little mixed, and I think it's mixed just because that's what's been advertised so much historically is you need to get three bids, or institutional commercial investors, we got to get three bids, or lending authorities say you need to have three bids, or whatever it may be. I don't know where the rule of three came up, but it seems to just be there.
Yeah,
And
just a
really,
good sounding number, right? Like three is a
yeah,
good, yeah.
just a great odd number there to use. But I can see where it comes from. It's all the effort and everything is all out of the right mindset and intent to be fair. But really every client we come across has a specific budget, and they have a specific footage that they're trying to get, or they have a specific product. And it's really easy to get caught up in the wonderful world of design and if you're in that world too long without a check-in on cost and scope, that's a dangerous place to live, because you may fall in love with something before you actually know um, what it may end up costing, and you're outside of your original budget parameters.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Unlike,
so much easier to start with the budget and just say, okay, like,
yeah,
here's what we can do, cards on the table.
yeah. So we like that. I mean, the architects we work with are great, and I haven't met an architect, and they wouldn't be in that profession if they weren't good at what they do. And they're very talented at spatial design, layouts, flow, all of these things of how a space feels. Um, and sometimes they may experience some challenges with pricing because they're not doing that every day. They're drawing and working through space plans every day. But we're pricing and looking at the products and seeing what's there and installing them every day. So we bring that value to the table, that hey, the product A costs this dollar amount, product B is this much, and it's your choice. We can use either one. They're great products, but to meet your budget, we would suggest product A. And that's where we help come, and we're the cost component of the design team, and help with those specifications to meet the total goal of the client who's going to be living in the home.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I know in addition to like trying to change this perception, I know you're super interested in just like technology and, moving
Yeah.
things forward. Like, is there any tech on your radar, new products, or, like healthy living or anything on your mind that you're really into or passionate about right now?
Oh, you bet. I am, and I think one of the things that really excites me, and it's somewhat newer in a home, is the indoor air quality. That's something I'm looking at very, very closely for not for my family, for our clients' families, and out of the world we're living in here today, and really in Houston, Texas as well. We don't always have the cleanest air, but there's a lot of allergens. This is springtime here in Texas, so the pollen is high. There's a little green haze of pollen on all the vehicles, so allergies are very very high right now. And just to be where you're inside your house, your home breathes very well, filters uh, what needs to be filtered, and really make sure your family has clean, fresh air to breathe is important. It helps in so many health benefits from it that I think are underlying causes of a lot of different issues. So indoor air quality is a big thing for me. We've worked with great companies like Panasonic and Broan, and others to help put some of their systems in place. And I think the benefits are we're just now beginning to see the big benefits that that'll have for people.
Yeah. That's interesting. Is that something that people are asking about, or is it something that you're kind of presenting and then they're like, oh yeah, I want to make sure we think about that as we build or we remodel?
We are presenting it more. There are a few people who ask about it, and particularly the ones who do have either themselves or a family member that has some sort of medical condition or asthma or severe allergies, and that's where it's come up. However, the more research that I've dug into it is that some people who may not get good quality sleep and they don't know why, could be simply because of their indoor air quality.
Interesting.
So some of the devices they monitor carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, the particulate matter, which is the really, really fine dust in the air, and VOC materials. So they help monitor those along with temperature and humidity, and really get a good measure of the air quality in a home at every minute of the day. And they turn on systems and control it uh, to help ventilate and bring in fresh air and clean the air, uh, along with just along with controlling the temperature and humidity with your traditional air conditioning system.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. It's amazing how far, we've come, when you look back and you could probably see all that from your phone too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, is it the sort of thing where people can like adjust it, or it's like once it's installed, it's supposed to regulate around a certain setting and it's kind of all happening
Yeah.
automatically?
There are some systems here, and really their monitoring systems are new to the market. When I say new, they're within the last 12 months. These products have been out, and they're still kind of in beta mode. But yeah, you'll be able to adjust it to your specific needs, from my understanding.
Yeah, that's cool. Anything else on the technology front that you're
We're
excited about?
always searching for new tech, always searching for cool things. Um, yeah, so I mean that's the one that's right there at the front of my mind as the indoor quality. But
Yeah, I would
yeah,
imagine that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, just kind of always scrolling for new ideas, new solutions. Um, Along with that, another big one that we're looking into right now is whole house water monitoring. So there's a couple of brands out there. Moen makes Flow, and Streamlabs makes one, but it's a remote control or a Wi-Fi main shutoff valve, and it's a leak. It's detecting if your home has a leak.
Hmm.
And if it does, it's going to automatically shut off water to your house or send you a message that you can override it or shut off water to your house. And that's another one that I've gotten a lot of research into in the last month, particularly. We had about a month ago, we had all the bad freeze here in Texas. So with the bursted pipes and seeing several people's houses flood from that, that product would be something that would really help out as a big solution to that problem. And I think there's some benefits too from insurance premium reductions if you have that product in there as well. So I think there's some cost benefits, and obviously just some common sense benefits. I know I would like to be able to know if I have a leaky pipe and be able to have peace of mind by shutting it off remotely. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. Well, it feels like innovation and technology is kind of part of your brand, whether it's your personal brand or your company brand. I guess um, let's dive into that a little bit. How do you think about your company brand, but also just for yourself? Do you like the way you present to clients or what you're putting out online? Um, how do you think about that?
well, I think primarily it's one and the same. So when somebody is hiring Southern Green Builders, they're hiring myself. They're hiring my business partners. They're hiring our team. So first and foremost, they got to like us. They got to trust us, and they have to have that level of comfort that we're going to deliver on everything we say we're going to deliver on. I think that flows through me personally, and just as our company as a whole. I think that honesty and that candidness is something that we value, something our team values, and we try to be transparent with everything we do to help validate that what we're saying is what it is. It's not a line or a canned spiel. It's valid and true, and really trying to meet the goals of the project for them. So I think that's one thing that I think are aligned. Just a lot of the way I think. I love efficiency. I love things being effective. How can we streamline it? How can we make it better? How can we make it faster? How can we make it more productive? That's something that I believe in, and I think that translates down to what we do as a company as well. And I see a lot of who I am is the same as what Southern Green Builders is.
Yeah, I think that happens organically in some ways, and then you also can be really thoughtful and intentional about it. But I think in businesses like yours, you see like the owner or partners or whoever's involved, and that's kind of how they are, core values, those kind of trickle into
Yeah.
the company, or vice versa. It'd be a little bit out of whack if they were vastly different.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, so what are some of the ways you think about trying to communicate that, or give off like those qualities to your, whether it's prospects or even when somebody signs and their customers, like how do you bake some of those things in?
Sure. I think the best way I can describe that, and that's outward to potential clients, and it's inward to our team members who execute a project. And it's one word, and it's clarity. How can we be crystal clear of exactly what we are delivering to a client? And then in turn, how can we be crystal clear to our superintendents, who in turn can, be crystal clear to our vendor partner network, and we get that product installed. For example, many sets of drawings will just say siding, and they'll point to that siding. And instead of saying, hey, here's a line item and the price is whatever it is for siding, we're going to actually call that out. We've spec'd this brand at this size, at this lap coverage, and we're going to use this on the corners on the outside, and this is the fascia, and this is, and all these different components. And we're going to list all those details out. So now when you see this price, it includes all of the areas we see on plans, and this is those products. Very specific, this is those products. So then if you're on site, it's not, hey, I thought I was supposed to have smooth siding and you have textured siding. No, it's right here. It's very clear up front. So that way we can correct that in pre-construction activities before we get on a job site, and there's not a surprise when it's already been ordered, it's already halfway on the house. We know that well up front before we start a project, and that clarity that we outline on paper and communicate in meetings really helps the effectiveness and efficiency of what we do.
Yeah, I really like that example because I feel like that's something that um that you can feel, but that's like a tangible way to accomplish it. So if a prospect is like, or a customer is going through and they're going, gosh, like look at this level of detail, these guys must be really professional. But even to your team, like you said, or if you pull in contractors and they're on site and it's like
Mhm.
everything's spelled out, like that signals, hey, this is a company we want to do more business with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great example. Yeah, the
It,
clarity, it's
yeah,
tough
the
to do.
clarity, it's very easily said and very hard to execute, but it really makes those pre-construction meetings effective. And we go through paper, and we're human too. We make mistakes, and it may be, hey, I use that siding example. We wanted a 4-inch siding at this location, not a 6-inch siding. It's no problem. Let's adjust this and we'll regenerate everything and make sure we're in a line. And we come back and go over those details. But not only siding, but the hundreds of other line items that are in a proposal and and products that go into a house. We go through all of those as well.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. Well, what's the state of the market, where you're at right now? Like what's the last 12, 18 months looked like, and what are your outlook outlook look like for the rest of the year?
Well, um, we've had a lot of good sales activity this year, and I think that that'll continue a little bit. I don't have a crystal ball by any means, but um,
I've got that actually in my back office if you want it. It comes in handy.
yes, I would love to get that crystal ball.
Yeah. Sorry, go
Uh,
ahead.
no, it's all right, but I think the biggest thing that we've been challenged with, and I think that will continue through the rest of this year and even into next, is managing our supply chain. Doesn't matter how much we can sell. It doesn't matter how much we can book. It's a matter of, can we get the products? Can we manage the expectation? Can we hold our estimates true? Can we really provide the service and the value that our clients hire us to do, and being focused on that daily and vigilant to make sure that we make that happen for them. I mean, everybody knows, I'm going to call out lumber because everybody's familiar with how expensive lumber's gotten. And I joked with somebody the other day. They said, there was their anniversary, and I said, "Well, where are you going to take them?" She said, "Oh, my wife wanted to go somewhere nice." I said, "Nice or expensive?" They said, "Well, expensive usually means nice." And I go, "Well, if it's expensive, just take her to the plywood aisle at Home Depot." I mean, that's about how expensive that stuff has gotten. But
Oh my gosh, yeah.
um, managing those costs and managing the expectation, I think, those challenges we have are going to be would really help our year continue. So that's the outlook I see. I think things, hopefully they will right themselves a little bit here within the next quarter. The futures and predictions we've been a part of, and the meetings we've been in, kind of lend to see maybe a little bit of reprieve or flattening of the curve in terms of price escalations and long lead times. But I hope that holds true. And in the meantime, we're coming up with plan B on how to mitigate that in case it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you, yeah, I'm curious, since clarity, we kind of talked about that as kind of one of those core values or things you try to communicate across.
Mhm.
How do you have those discussions with people, and are you, putting that into your contracts, say, hey, if this jumps and, doubles in 30 days, like that's on you, or, how do you
Yeah.
set that expectation?
No, we do, and it is a uh, can be a tough conversation to have, but it's much easier when you've set the expectation up front. So we have a price escalation clause in our contracts, particularly more for like the lumber scenario. It says this is what we're contracted in at. If this goes up past this percentage, you owe us the difference. We don't, that crystal ball you keep in the back closet. We don't have that, but so whenever that is, we have to have a true up of some sorts, and it's openly discussed. And we're even looking at some instances. We're looking to just get better at that instead of just saying, "Hey, there's going to be this escalation." We're trying to work together to collaborate and form a budget together as a team, saying, "What do you think that is appropriate? Do you think 10,000 is an appropriate contingency bucket to use for that? So if it does escalate, we have this already set aside, or do you feel like it should be 15,000, or what's the number?" And we work together as a team. So the intent there is obviously, if and when that does happen, we've worked together of it to set the budget, and versus being an arbitrary number that we made up, or no number at all, or no discussion at all. And it's just, hey, here it is. Uh, you remember this clause? Well, now you owe us, and that's not going to be a fun conversation either. But
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
trying
No,
to ease
go
that
ahead.
best we can.
Yeah, you really have to hit it up front, otherwise, yeah, you just get into some nasty, uncomfortable conversations down the road. Um, well, hey, Drew, I know, we've been working together, on the marketing side for you guys for a little while now. I'm
Mhm.
curious, just because so much has changed, I think, since we first started working together and with all of last year and everything. Um, most people come to us because they're like, hey, we want to generate more leads for ourselves and control our own pipeline and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Is that still the primary goal, or or has this like shifted? And I guess part of where I'm going with this question is we have a lot of people right now that are like, pipeline looks good, things are strong. So a lot of things are around like streamlining, lead qualification or charging more, and like kind of those things that you maybe want to maximize in a hot market. Or has nothing really changed? Is it kind of that same like North Star goal of controlling your own pipeline?
I think it is still for us. It's still controlling our own pipeline. Definitely always want to hone in on delivering more of that ideal client that we would like to serve and help be the leads that we get. But yeah, I think you never shut that off. You got always have to keep um, generating that initial lead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think a lot of this industry is just always thrived on word of mouth and referral.
Mhm.
And, we've seen just a big shift in the way people research and find, custom builders or remodelers now. And yeah, taking back that control, it seems like is just getting more and more important.
Yeah.
And if you don't control that website, it just, yeah, I don't know, you fall further and further behind. So
Absolutely. No, and the work y'all have done for us has been great. I think the one thing that I'll share with people too is it's really hard to get immediate results, if not impossible, in lead generation in our industry for what you're looking for. And I think I've done a lot of just windshield time thoughts of why that is. And my humble assessment is that uh, we don't deliver a widget. We deliver a pretty complex product. And in that takes a little bit of time to develop that product, which in turn is proportional to the amount of time it takes to generate the right lead. So you can't just throw a massive amount of advertising and say we're going to increase production by 20% this next quarter and sell 25% more of this, and it just is a little more complex than that. So I appreciate that, and appreciate you talking us off the ledge a few times of, well, let's get this going, and now seeing it produce the results we're looking to produce, and appreciate that help and that guidance through the um, down the patient trail of seeing the results work and being consistent with it. So sincere thank you, Spencer, for that.
oh no, I appreciate you saying that because it's funny. We're in the business obviously of marketing, for you guys and
Mhm.
companies like you. And what a business model. Hey, come work with us, but you're not really going to see results for probably a year or maybe more. And and getting but when you hang in and you build that system and then suddenly it starts compounding on itself. I mean, I reference a custom builder up in the Poconos area we've been working with for 8 years. You guys booked for almost 2 years out now, but it's, you're just building this pipeline, building. And I
Yeah.
think you hit the nail on the head as to why. Like, it's not Amazon. People aren't doing their research in 10
Mhm.
minutes and then making a purchase, but people research for months and months anyway. So you're just catching them earlier in that process than you used to. And then that opportunity starts there, but it maybe doesn't actually, you don't feel it for another 6 to 9 months after they've been reading your blog and seeing your emails for that long. And then they hit your sales pipeline, which is what we all think of as like, oh, now I have an opportunity. But if you think about that 6 to 9 month research mode where they're sitting on their iPad in bed, just browsing and researching, that's where we're living. And so you got to be patient. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you kind of talking about that patience piece, because it stings a little bit. You're just investing. You're like, where is this? And that was how it was for us too when we first kicked this all off. It was like, man, you just keep going and going, and you read all the data about that it should work, but so anyway, I got one last kind of segment of the show, but before I get to that, any like final words of wisdom or things you want to leave people with that we haven't covered today?
No, I don't know any words of wisdom really, but there is kind of a mantra that we have here in our office, and something that helped us get through the last year of so much mass distraction in our world is a lot of mass distraction. And that we try to, we simply put, it's starve the distraction and feed the focus. And get focused on what you can control, do what you can, tune out the things that you can't. Um, we had in a meeting this morning, some people were talking about a little frustrated on national policy and pick the subject. Somebody's always going to be frustrated with national policy or
For
state
sure.
policy or something like that. It doesn't matter who's in office or what's going on, but the reality is, what can you control? Quite literally, where I sit today and where you sit, you can control how you vote. You can control maybe a letter or a phone call to a representative or that. But outside of that, there really isn't much you can control. And therefore, let it go. Let them do their job, and you focus on what your job is. And we relate that to our team. As a builder, you're in control of, and our team, we're in control of delivering a project on time, under budget, and have a highly referable client. That's what we're after. And if it's outside of those three things, well, the focus needs to go back to those three things. And simply put, just being steadfast and relentless to that focus, and starving out all the distractions that our world presents.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Control what you can control. That's all you can do. So, all right, Drew, we got final section here of the show. We call it our Fast Five. So I'll hit you with 5 rapid fire questions and say
Okay.
whatever comes to mind. So, first question: what is your favorite business book and why?
Business book. Um, Man, caught me off guard there.
We try to with these, the final section. No more
Yeah,
softballs.
yeah, no more softballs, right? There's a book that I give out to everyone we hire. It's called The Go-Getter, and it's about 100-year-old book, but it talks about a lumber salesman on the West Coast and going through this journey of finding what the owner wants. And it just basically talks about perseverance and never quitting and never settling for no and always working towards the goal. But the go-getter is a simple, uh, I like the philosophy that it presents.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. I'll have to add it to my list. All right, next question. Who is the most inspirational person in your life?
Hmm. Um, wow. I there's a handful of a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. There's obviously several different family members and my parents and my wife, um, and grandparents and such. And for each one for a different reason, they've all taught me a different lesson, whether it's patience or perseverance or the loyalty or honesty, and all of those things I think have melded together to where it's not one key person, but a group of people that I grew up around that had the same value set and really helped meld those values onto me.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Um, all right, if you could have one superpower, what would that be?
Oh, we talk about that at dinner with my kids.
Oh, perfect.
I'd fly. I'd like to
Fly.
fly. Yeah, the roadways here in Houston and sitting in traffic enough times, I'd love to just hop up and fly, and I'd be there in a second.
Yeah, I feel like Elon's got to be working on that, so maybe we're
I'm
close.
sure he is. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Um, Efficient, direct, faithful.
Right on. All right. Final question. You may have already answered this because I kind of, threw off the order a little bit, but any final piece of advice that you leave our listeners with besides starving the distractions?
Well, that's a big one that just feeds into so many things. But no, I think the best thing is just really, it goes back to that same one. Focus what you can control. There's so much here that you can get roped into a lot of negative talk and negative media, and get into some different isolated thought bubbles, and really just expand, look what's out there, find a way to get the news, but in a distilled manner, and do what you can do and do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great advice. And Drew, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you, Spencer. It's been a pleasure.